Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere southeast of Idaho, where some really disturbing, strange activity is taking place. My name is Brian Engelman. Today is Monday, June 30, 2025, and this is the TNAM. Whoop, hold on. I turned the volume down. Where'd it go? This is the TNAM. There we go. Daily Show here on the new American media, because the old American media has failed you. So we're going to talk about these firefighters who were targeted. What in the world? What do we know? Why is the world going crazy? We'll unpack that. We're going to talk about the big, beautiful boondoggle or the big, beautiful bill, depending on who you're talking to. And we're going to cover the rest of the news that you might have missed over the weekend and at the beginning part of today. So buckle up, jump into the comments section. Once that populates, we will put it on the side of the screen here. And let's begin today's whirlwind of a show.
Your guide to the truth, the new AmericanMedia.com.
Thanks for joining me today. How was your weekend? Tell me all about it in the comments section. Hit like, hit subscribe, and jump in for the chatter. The New American Media exists in these following places: Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odysee, Twitch, Kick, DLive, and YouTube. Search The New American Media. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, whatever you need to do. We're on Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat. We're on X at American_Media_, and subscribe to our podcast. That is the Agree to Disagree Show on Spotify and Apple. So the Agree to Disagree Show encapsulates all of our TNAM daily shows. So link up with us there. And it's the end of the month, so on tomorrow we're going to have billing for our Patreon subscribers. Thank you to everybody who, shows their appreciation by signing up to be a regular contributor, a monthly sponsor on Patreon. It's great. It's all part of a package. I mean, we get some advertising revenue from the Rumble ads that are playing. YouTube, for some reason, demonetized us. Millions of views and 6,500 subscribers and 1,900 videos over 14 years. They don't want me to make money over there. That's their way of gently pushing, I don't know what you call me, common sense, conservative, libertarian. I don't know what I am. I'm anti-2025 Democrat Party, aside from like one or two social libertarian issues that it's like, even if I don't agree with it, I think that might be the best way to govern a nation. Most of the rest of their platform is just atrocious. So I know what I'm not, but that's what YouTube does. They push people like me away because they hate people like you, viewers like you. They can't stand viewers like you. They think so little of you that if they'll just hide countervailing views from people like me, have a pretty fantastic, dare I say, My batting average would be Hall of Fame worthy. Just look at the stories we've covered and tell us how many stories we've been completely wrong on. Oh, we cover all sorts of things, but covering something doesn't mean endorsing it or pushing it as fact. Now compare the facts. I'm doing the air quote if you're just listening on Spotify. Compare that to the lies, the outright propaganda and lies, the fake news that's been shoveled down your throat by ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox News, CNN. Trash, trash, trash they feed you. Oh, yeah, Alex Jones talks about a false flag because Obama and his team were using every catastrophe to ram through unconstitutional Second Amendment self-defense restrictions on us, on we the people. Oh, well, he had some thoughts on a particular incident. So he was fined $1 quadrillion, tried to ruin his company. But NBC, no problem for lying about Russian collusion, lying about the jab, lying about the perfect phone call, lying about drinking bleach, lying about ivermectin hydroxychloroquine, lying about the Hunter Biden laptop. Go down the list. And I just picked NBC, MSNBC, because they're sort of the most infiltrated deep state alphabet agency propaganda site that we have that masquerades as a news channel. News is supposed to be who, what, where, when, why. Now, within the context of who, what, where, when, why, we can have opinions on that, but we don't have the right to make up our own facts. You know, facts don't care about your feelings, we've heard. Okay, that's a great line. And we can have our feelings, but we can't just invent faked facts. You jumping down, bud? There goes Nimbus. He was up here in a different spot just now, which was pretty great. Made room for him over here instead of over here. If you're a regular watcher of the show, you know Nimbus. David Bann knows Nimbus. Hello, David. Everybody else out there, however you're watching, like I said, hit like, hit subscribe, hit the thumbs up, hit the notification bell, and leave me your comment. Drop your name or your initials and let me know where you're watching from. That does remind me I need to tell the people on Facebook that we are live. And I'll just say, join us live. Yeah, I don't really advertise all of our groups, but we do have the Agree to Disagree Show Facebook group. I don't advertise it. It is a private group, but find it. And in the comment section, how did you find our group? Say, Brian sent me. Join us live right now. Yeah, thousands of people in probably 40 or 50 different groups that I run on Facebook. I've been crushing that platform. They don't let anybody see my content. Nobody gets to see when we're live. Nobody sees our posts. Can't monetize over there. It's just, you know, it's almost enough to make you want to just throw in the towel. It really is. Because you have to acquire enough resources during your waking hours to pay the bills, to make it worth your time to deliver all of this content. I follow the news every day. I guess maybe just like anyone, you might occasionally take a little bit of time off, right? That's theoretically possible. And I do. Look, everybody has to take days and travel and, there's a million reasons for that. But, I think for being a one-man operation with the help of several people I've collaborated with over the years, don't get me wrong, I think we provide an enormous amount of content and we distill it down to the most relevant shit that you care about. I try to. Do or do not. There is no try. Okay, so I do deliver the best that I can based on what I have available. And I think I do a pretty fantastic job, but that's great. A couple of back slaps and a attaboy, that's not going to pay the mortgage, And unfortunately, that's what the big tech companies, Meta, Instagram, Facebook, Google, YouTube, they hate you and they hate me. So places like Patreon, at the New American Media, scrolling at the bottom of your screen, as well as our tip jar on Venmo at BrianEngelman, Cash App at BrianEngelman, and Fuzz Installment on PayPal. These are the ways that we, I can't quite say we're thriving, can't quite say we're surviving based on what we get, but it helps. It helps offset. Thing about the news, you never know where you're going to be needed. I mean, last year was an absolute all-in whirlwind. We went to North Carolina and made a documentary about the Hurricane Helene. Help on the Way was the name of it, with the help of Blake Wally. Thank you, Blake. And also Grizzly gave us a guided tour through that area. And last year we went to all the conventions: Milwaukee for the Republicans, Chicago for the Democrats, DC for the Libertarians. We went everywhere, but that was like out of pocket swiping cards and paying massive bills at the travel expenses, and then the hotels and all the equipment upgrade. It was a lot. But you never know where the news is going to take you. Are there going to be riots in Los Angeles? Boom, let's go to it. I was invited to go see Charlie Kirk today. I have other things going on. I would have liked to go see Charlie Kirk, maybe talk with him again. He's on the intro. We did a brief walk-in talk at the Politicon in Los Angeles a few years back. And, can't do everything, but then you see a story like what's going on up in Idaho, and you're like, man, maybe I need to get out there and cover this story. So, look, the more... Hi, bud. Nimbus left just to come back and make a bunch of noise and say hello. In my mind's eye, I can see a universe where I would be going to all of the places. I like doing that. I like going on the scene. I like going out to the Bundy Ranch. I like going to Occupy LA. I like going to the Bronx where Trump is speaking. I like going to inauguration and January 6th, things that we've done for the New American Media over the years. But I also love doing this too. I also love giving you this show. But that is all just to say the donation links are at the bottom of the screen. It's going to bill for Patreon next month. And so thank you to everybody who has signed up. And if anybody has not but would like to consider doing so, please do that, because it matters. I've heard something about where guys say guys just don't get compliments. I mean, fine. There's a small percentage of people that cannibalize a ton of the compliments, and like 99% of the people don't get compliments. But if you get one little compliment, it could be about the smallest thing. I can't remember where I heard it, but it's like, I could live off. I've lived off of that one compliment for the last 5 years. So a little donation means the world. I that feeds me the fuel that I need for the fire to burn, said Eminem. And just every time we get a little bit of appreciation, we had a impromptu, spontaneous donation through PayPal was that Friday or Saturday? One was a test donation, and then one was a 10x of that donation. I was like, oh, thank you so much. That's awesome. Put together all the Rumble revenue, put together the Patreon revenue, put together the PayPal donations. You're like, oh, okay, that eliminates one of the bills that we had to pay this month. All right, we're moving in the right direction. 14 years and we're making progress. I mean, look, we got 130,000 views on our John McAfee video, and we were zapped. They took our monetization away, and we haven't been the same on YouTube. It's hard to get traction over there, but we're not stopping. We're going to keep going. So thank you to everybody was my point of that. Let's get to some of the comments. Yes, good morning, David. Thank you for the kind words. He says the content is informative. It's so informative that we have a Canuck watching. David from up in Ontario. I used to go visit Windsor, Ontario, across the Ambassador Bridge when I was enrolled and after I graduated from Bowling Green State University. Maybe an hour 15, hour and a half north. We'd go to Detroit and then cross the bridge. Spent a lot of time in Ontario. Had a good time there. David watches us from Ontario. We're not just the New American Media. We're the media, and it all matters, and a lot of the same stories are relevant to all of us. So yes, we try to provide informative content. We try to have fun with it too. And, I try to provide interesting perspective. my brain is wired how it's wired. We could present something very bland, or we could get interesting with it. I have no idea where Nimbus went. He was over here meowing and he just disappeared. You'll get to meet Nimbus if you're not familiar with him. He loves jumping up into the program. But yes, we do try to sift through and give you some of the most interesting stories. By the way, I don't know how much is in the stack, but I guess the Diddy trial is just about ready to wrap up. Is he going to get the book thrown at him, or is he not? David talking about opinions here. Opinions do matter so that ideas can be exchanged. Yeah. It's on the battlefield of ideas, let it rip. And yes, where the truth seekers and liberty-minded individuals are, where we are, where we're going, where we go, we're all going. What was it, a Ben Franklin quote that said, we must hang together or assuredly we will all hang separately. That is a antiquated colloquial way to say where we go one, we go all. If you've heard that phrase over the past few years, it's connected to a greater movement, as far as I've been able to pick up on. I still don't know who is the author. Do you have any idea who is the author of the 17th letter, David? That's been out there for a long time. That whole movement. That movement is interesting, but there's also an element of that to just, there's a plan, just trust it. It's like, go back to sleep. There's a song by A Perfect Circle, Maynard James Keenan. Swing into the rhythm of the New World Order and go back to sleep. It's almost like, just trust us. There's a plan. Don't you worry your pretty little mind about it. Yeah, there's a plan. We got this. That's the part that's the worst part. And it's like, no. We all have to get working. If we don't see a battle plan, if we don't see timelines and expectations and benchmarks, what are we doing? That doesn't work for me. That shit don't work for me. We need to move forward toward a goal, and we need to be able to quantify it. So anyway, that is that. All right, let's go ahead and switch. Let's jump into the news of the day, and let's start tearing through it, starting with our Instagram feed. Like I said, I'm no fan of the Meta platform. I think Zuckerberg's fuckery in 2020 with his drop boxes in the big blue cities that weren't. I encourage anybody in the chat to tell me how secure these drop boxes were. Tell me about the 24/7 surveillance, making sure that nobody could be mules dropping off stacks and stacks of air quote ballots that may or may not have had signature verification. I won't bore you with how I feel about that, but come on. So I'm no Zuckerberg fan, but I do like the Instagram format. And so we do like to cover stuff there. So if you're following the New American Media page, you're going to get an update. You see all those little dots at the top of the screen? That looks like 25 different stories. Yeah, okay, so maybe we're spamming our stories. No, we're not. We're giving you tons of great stuff to consider. So let's break them down and talk about it. So this post here from Defeat Democrats says Governor Greg Abbott just banned China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea from buying land in Texas. This is great news. So we had a question. Is this finalized? Let's go to Grok. Did Abbott ban foreign ownership of Texas land? Because I see a meme, and that doesn't mean much, and I'm not familiar with Defeat Democrats as such. Let's see what Grok has to say about. Yes. June 20th. Okay, so this was 9 days ago. Let's go ahead and get into it. I'll put this up on the screen here, full screen for you. Texas Governor Greg Abbott signs SB 17 into law on the 21st, banning foreign entities and individuals from purchasing land. specifically governments, companies, and individuals from countries designated as national security threats, currently China, Iran, North Korea, and Russia, from acquiring real property in the state, including residential, agriculture, commercial, and industrial land. All right. So what was our question? Share this tab instead. We asked, is this all finalized? Answer, it was. Bravo. So in the comments, okay, that got weird. Let's type bravo button. Thank you, Governor Abbott. We're tired of America being infiltrated to be taken over. It's time we do something about it. Nick makes a good point here. So let's ask you, this point that we're about to, how do we pronounce that? Freitas? I think it's Nick Freitas. Do we agree or do we disagree with Nick? In honor of Nick, I'll sip a coffee. I do see his YouTube shorts. Kind of snarky, kind of clever, kind of funny, kind of timely. 60-second shorts that he'll put out there. So Nick asked this question. He says, to all the wealthy Democrats who are about to leave New York City, why? Why? I mean, this is what you wanted, right? You not only voted for this, you donated to the groups and organizations and colleges that produced it. Why would you want to leave the very thing you fought so hard to create? Damn. When you put it that way. Yeesh. So we said in the comments, stop voting Democrat and stop ruining America. Enough is enough already. So do you agree or disagree with Nick on this? Kind of calling out the wealthy Democrats who they're funding all these nincompoops who are trying to usher in, what is it, socialism, communism, Islamism, radical Islamism, globalism. Racism. He's adamantly this potential New York governor, anti-white, civil rights violating racist. This is what you wanted. This is what you funded, wealthy liberal Democrats. Why are you going to flee? So I agree. I agree with Nick calling these people out. I think we need to call more of them out. And most importantly, we need to stop voting Democrat and stop ruining America. This joke is satire, and it's pretty stinking hilarious. Shane Cashman says, I believe the IRS is days away from having a nuclear weapon. And by the way, I am still waiting for my 2019 tax refund. Still waiting. I can't tell you how much time and energy has been wasted going back to the tax advocate services department, going back to my accountant, going back through stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks of documents from 6 years ago. Still waiting. The IRS can go directly to hell. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Shane Cashman asserts, I believe the IRS is days away from having a nuclear weapon. Psst, President Trump, Benjamin Netanyahu, take a look. I think the IRS is just days away from having a nuclear weapon. That's humor. That's humor. And it's great. All right, let's take a listen. Field and Stream here putting this out. You know, and look, I've seen people like Glenn Beck going on about how much land in the Western United States is government land. And, you know, the federal government, should they have so much ownership over these states? Or should the states be able to develop their own states? And I do get some of that. But we also need to be careful about selling off some of this stuff. So Mike Lee is one of the better people we have in Congress. He's no Thomas Massey. He's no Rand Paul, but no, Mike Lee's very good. One of the highest batting averages in Congress. That's not to say I'm a sycophant or I love everything about him. Of course, I don't love everything about me, let alone you, let alone some clown in Congress. But Mike Lee's very good. He's one of the better ones. So they're calling this Mike Lee's revised land grab is still mandating the sale of up to 1.2 million acres of public land. Let's listen to this assertion here.
Mike Lee's revised land grab still mandates the sale of up to 1.2 million acres of public land. After the massive outrage that the public has shown, this only proves that you guys, still have a voice. All of the phone calls, all of the emails, it matters. And if we stay silent, they're going to continue to sell off our public land. So we need to continue to fight, continue to call all the senators, let them know that we want our public land to stay public because we love to fish, we love to hunt, we love to go on these areas and recreate with our families, make memories. And quite frankly enough, cattle graze there, sheep graze there.
And remember, it was cattle grazing at the Bundy Ranch that led the Bureau of Land Management. Before BLM, there was BLM. Harry Reid in Vegas and BLM, they went out and sicked dogs on pregnant women, and they had helicopters flying overhead shooting cattle, and they had snipers up in the mountain range aiming at these guys, and it damn near came to a standoff with armed militia members on bridges aiming at the feds who were trying to kick the Bundys who had been ranching on that property, and their cattle were going to nibble on some grass on public lands. Big deal that they've done for, what was it, hundreds of years? They've been homesteaders there for a long time, and just one day they decided they were going to give them all sorts of grief. We almost entered a second civil war over this, and I went out there. I interviewed the people at play, Pete Santilli, several of the Bundy family members, and this grazing land. Make it make sense. What's so terrible about having some cattle grazing on some grass? And you're putting all the improvements out there to add water stations, desert oases, creating multiple forms of desert oasis for all variety of flora and fauna to benefit from. Irrigated, pumped in water to sit in troughs, and the bees and the birds could use the water. I mean, like it's not like you're spilling crude oil, messing it up for everybody. If anything, the cows are dropping some cow patties, which are going to fertilize that splotch of land. That's a good thing. So I'm interested in this idea, this concept of public land. And I've also thought about this. What are we, $37 trillion in debt? You can't pay back $1 trillion. Like, we're at the point where the interest, allegedly, whoever we owe this interest to, and I guess it's like bond holders that purchase state or federal, I don't know, bonds or something. We're borrowing it from ourselves. So defaulting on it would be a bad idea. But it's like, if all this land is federal land, why not just sell the land, get out of debt? Because we're paying so much on interest, it's a debt spiral. There's no escape. At that point, you do the right thing. You declare bankruptcy and go, all right. I was playing my buddy Izzy in a game of NCAA football a couple days ago, steamrolling him. And this is on the heels of him winning 4, 5, or 6 in a row. I had to change a couple settings. He was playing on like Heisman level, and you have to press this perfect combination of buttons to make a catch, and it's super easy to peel off the defender and make easy interceptions if you know all the buttons. And if you don't, you're just screwed. And I'm like, no, something's going on. Go back to like the rudimentary way to play this game, and I'm going to crush you. And I steamrolled him. And I was up by 35, 42 points in the second quarter. And he tapped out. He He's like, all right, you got that one. Let's play again. Because you're so far gone, there's no coming back from it. There's no point. That's where we're at with our debt in America. There's so much interest. You just press pause and go, no, we can't. All right, you got me. We're done. Bankruptcy or whatever filing needs to be done. You can't make the payments on the interest. It's too much. It's larger than our military budget. Interest. Get out of here, you lousy banksters. Go to hell. We're tapping out. All right, bankruptcy. Let's play again. You know, it's like taking your king and toppling it. It's like, all right, you beat me. Well, no, I had 3 moves. I know, but you won this game. Let's reset the board and play again. Because we're so far out of whack. Or you sell some public land, make some developments, and boom. Now you're out of debt and you lose all those interest payments. So I've thought about this, and I'm open to a wide-ranging conversation about this. Curious if David, are you countryside? Are you suburb? Are you city? A couple of times you've referenced which area you're at in Ontario, but I don't recall which area it is. And is it urban, suburban, or country? And regardless, how do you feel about public land?
Need to keep our,
because it's a conversation. There's probably multiple perspectives to consider, and I'd like to host like a roundtable about this. I really would.
public lands public. So if you guys can, please share the message around with your family, with your friends. Ask them to call. Ask them to send some emails. You guys can go read the full article on Field and Stream. Travis Hall has done a beautiful job of covering this story. Thank you guys again for all the support. Let's keep our public lands public, and God bless. Mike Lee's revised land grab still mandates the sale of up to 1.2.
All right, so we just asked, shouldn't more states own more of their land, though? How about we don't? Or should we? You know, I think there's a lot of perspectives to consider on this issue. Saw this over the weekend, and Amazon delivery man exploded in
23rd
DC.
Street
Nobody
South,
hurt.
Sunday, June 29th. Wow.
If I can get an update here.
That doesn't look... It almost looks like an explosion.
It looks like an explosion. I turned.
Okay, it was on the 2200 block of South Park Street, not in Washington, D.C. A gas-powered Mercedes Sprinter van had a severe engine malfunction.
The black one?
Yeah, right?
And not a bomb, not an attack, no injuries, no packages damaged. Oh, there was a known recall of 53,000 Sprinter vans in 1920 for a wiring harness issue and deleted wires.
We just saw it explode.
Okay.
Whoa.
That just started.
23rd Street South,
Comments.
Sunday.
Here we go. I'm going to say update from Grok. Now, whether Grok's telling me accurate info or not, I don't know. Grok is usually pretty good. So we covered this, and it didn't look like there was you know, anytime something really bad, you're like, is this an attack? Is this intentional? Or is this just one of those things that happens? David, suburbs. Okay, so you're outside of the city, but not so far that you're country. Close enough to the city with millions of people around you. Gotcha. So do you have any thoughts on the public land situation? Because I'm not sure if you know, but I mean, if I don't have the map in front of me, but our western lands in Utah, Colorado, Nevada, you know, pick your favorite state in the western United States. A huge percentage is federal land. And I know that the states would like to have a little bit more control of their own federal land. So just curious if you had thoughts on that. And if you're an active hunter or fisher, for that matter. All right, moving on. Washington Post. Can we see this? There we go. New York Post reporting a Washington Post journalist has been busted by D.C. U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro for allegedly possessing child horrific content. Unforgivable child content. Pulitzer Prize winning. Arrested and charged after discovering this on his work computer. Huh. Interesting. I have two thoughts. Well, three thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts, actually. Just let me get a couple. Oh, speaking of, you do hunt and fish. Yeah, speaking of that, I was able to take Izzy out fishing, and he caught his first fish. That was fun to be a part of that. I'm not good at fishing. I keep trying. I don't catch much. But thoughts on this story? All right, well, working for the Washington Post, is this another left-wing child abuser? There is a shocking, jarring correlation, it seems, between being on the left wing and thinking it's okay to mess with kids. It is not. Insert wood chipper comment. I think messing with kids should be a capital punishment offense, hands down. David's saying, I think the states should probably have more say over the land that's in their state. I agree. But I don't think we should auction that off to the highest bidder per se to just put housing developments in per se. And it definitely shouldn't be sold to investors from China or Russia or any foreign nation, especially extra hostile foreign nations for that matter. Okay, so is it a Democrat because they're working at the Washington Post? Question. Yeah, another question, just like I said about capital punishment. Mess with the kid, just as, you know, we got no use for anybody in society if you're going to harm a kid. No use. Pencils have erasers for a reason. But I do think there's something about the computer stuff. It's like, oh, look what we found. Did you? I mean, like, really? Like, maybe I've watched too many spy movies, but certain things are pretty easy to fabricate and set somebody up. I mean, didn't they set up Julian Assange? Like, oh, you abused a lady. That's what they did to Trump. Like, oh, remember 5,200 years ago in a department store? Didn't you abuse this lady? He's like, I don't know her, and she's not my type, frankly. A lot of people say, sir, that's not your style. That lady, that crazy cat lady, is making it up. You know, so like, to accuse and slander somebody is kind of an easy thing to do. So when I read these stories, I want the strictest punishment possible. Is that tough to say? Strictest punishment. It is tough to say. Strictest punishment possible. However, I'm aware of how easily people can be framed. So anyway, if this guy was busted, thank you, Judge Janine. One less creep off of the streets. Representative James Comer here, according to Newsmax, calls on former White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre and 3 former Biden aides to testify into an investigation of the Biden team's AutoPen use. As part of our aggressive investigation into the cover-up of this cognitive decline and potentially unauthorized executive actions, we must hear from those who aided and abetted this farce. It's time to start the treason trials already. Button. There we go. Good job, James Comer. Yeah, aiding and abetting. She completely knew that the guy was out to lunch. And there is a bit of a 25th. The 25th Amendment really isn't just like an option. It needs to be a priority. You simply must. If you can tell that your bus driver's incapacitated, it's your duty to remove him from the seat and grab the steering wheel. But she was a part of it. Yeah, that's right, David. It's also been alleged that cat lady, you ever see her interviews? Good grief. This woman's a few cats short of a hoarder house. A few screws short of a, anyway, whatever the saying is. Yeah, they said that the idea of what the accusation was came from a Law and Order episode. And also that she was bankrolled by, well, let me double check. Trump accuser was bankrolled by who? Is it the LinkedIn guy? Trump accuser was bankrolled by, it's vague, as multiple individuals had made accusations. Yes. E. Jean Carroll, yes. Okay, I was right. Reid Hoffman, the billionaire co-founder of LinkedIn. So yeah. Wherever did they get that idea from? All right. We're talking about this socialist, communist, radical Islamist, racist person, Zohan, who's running for New York City governor. Never forget New York. Let's take a look at the policies and what happens when you start pushing this stuff into a big city. And I want to save America's big cities. I don't want to just throw a middle finger up and go, you get what you deserve. I want to fix it. But sometimes in order to fix it, sometimes in order to get Trump's actual second term, you got to let the left do everything they can to fortify 2020, install Joe Biden, and watch 4 years of the biggest catastrophe you've ever seen so that we can compare it to something else. In which case, now that we have, we'll never go back to Democrat, I hope. But let's take a listen to this post on Bowery Boy talking about what happens in a big city like New York when you start imposing these communist, socialist, Marxist, Leninist, Stalinist, whatever ist you want to actually designate it as. When you start putting these anti-capitalist policies in place, what are the unintended consequences? Let's take a listen. So they're saying here, so this is one.
This is one of 100,000 vacant apartments in New York City.
Wow.
I first made this video 6 years ago thinking, okay, the following year they'll renovate it and it'll be occupied, but 6 years later still vacant. And there's about 100 other apartments like this that are vacant because of this rent law that was passed in 2019.
What's the law?
So essentially this is a rent stabilized apartment and the landlords can't increase the rent in the apartment because of the law that was passed. It's not in there. It doesn't financially make sense. For example, the law used to be you can increase the rent 1/40th of the renovation cost, and now it's 1/116th. So if they put in, let's say, $100,000, they can barely increase the rent. So they're like, I'm not going to do that. It doesn't make financial sense. I'll just let it sit vacant. Let's say they did renovate this apartment and they increased the rent a little bit. It would still be rent stabilized and would make their building less valuable.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So what do you do? Can you even sell this place?
It doesn't have the most value right now. I'm sure it's at some point the law will change back and you'll be able to renovate it again. But right now, this is just going to sit vacant until the law changes. New York City becomes more and more unaffordable every single day because more and more apartments become vacant. People move out and then they're not being renovated. So this is one of 100,000 vacant apartments in New York City.
Wow.
I first made this video 6 years ago thinking, okay, the following year they'll...
I mean, this is what happens. There are unintended consequences for this. You have to let the free market work. I mean... Yeah, I got yelled at. This is the ghetto, Brianna. This lady on Section 8, she did not want me fixing the landscaping, trimming the trees, repairing the broken sprinklers for the irrigation system, setting them on a timer at 3 a.m. so that the water would absorb and not be evaporated away. Use just a tiny bit of water and make it count. Repairing busted brick planter beds, first repairing the brick, then adding fresh soil and putting greenery in there so the building's popped. Painting the building so there's not chipped paint and just a disgusting, dilapidated, gross thing to walk home to every day. She didn't want that. She was mad at me. This is the ghetto, Brianna. She didn't want that. She didn't want the things repaired because then they couldn't afford to live there. It was one of the several arguments. That shit's a mind virus, guys. Jarvis Landry on HBO's Hard Knocks. He was a wide receiver for the Cleveland Browns, and he was watching film. They kind of go do a documentary and follow him through practice and stuff. And he's talking about attitude and effort. And it's like, man, it's lazy on this play. Didn't give it your all. He's like, that attitude, man, that shit is contagious. That shit's contagious, bro. That shit's contagious. And he really drilled that point home that like a bad attitude and half-ass effort is contagious. Don't bring that stuff in here. You're not going to succeed if you have that negative attitude. And this whole like put as many restrictions on everything as possible, and it just locks people in. Looking at the housing market now, so many people are stuck. And I guess there's way more houses on the market than there are buyers because the interest rates suck. Drop the interest rate to 1% and watch how many people are going to shuffle. Yeah, let me get a place like this. Let me move over here. Nobody can move. You're all kind of like locked in. Everyone's stuck. The people that have a good interest rate, and it makes no sense why you can't refinance a loan, why you can't just switch the terms. Just switch who has it, or sell. When you sell a place, just sell them the terms of the existing loan. None of this stuff makes sense. So there's restrictions on housing that are really messing up the housing market right now. So anyway, New York City, you got a big decision ahead of you. I'm curious to see if they're going to be able to coalesce and form a coalition with one unified opposition force to keep that Zohan guy out of New York City governor or New York City mayor. Fingers crossed. But that's stunning. When people don't have an incentive to fix things up, they just don't. And frankly, that's why my old neighborhood partially why it was in such disrepair, because it was Section 8. What do they care? They get federal money. Why would they spend their money fixing a place up? They'll have people. They got to stuff people somewhere. Why make it nice? It's a bad mentality. It's a bad mentality. All right, moving on. Benny Johnson here reporting that Smucker's has announced they're removing all artificial colors and dyes from their products by the end of 2027. Look at that. ABC News reporting. Bravo. And yes, we're asking the same question. Why do we have to wait till the end of 2027? Can't we just do this now? What are we? But once again, if you want to reward behavior you like, you're just supposed to issue praise. This isn't the time to complain about it. Well, why did it take so long? Why can't you do it faster? It's like, just stop. Thank you, Smuckers. Thank you. Also, if we can move faster than that, that would be even better. But I mean, just you wonder why so many American products were banned in Europe. It wasn't just because of tariff purposes. Like, well, you know, we want to protect our industry. We don't want them selling in an open market. No, a lot of them are saying, you have toxic shit in your food. We don't want it in our food. That's why they were banning so much of it. So there you go. Thank you, Smuckers. We once had a incident with Smuckers. We opened up some jelly, and there were chopped up caterpillars in it. We were like, ah! Contacted the company. They sent a representative out, took a look, and they gave us cases and cases of jelly. I mean, we were stocked in our pantry for decades on Smucker's jelly. So good job, Smuckers. I'm here to give you praise for your customer service when you served us chopped up caterpillar and for taking artificial colors and dyes out of your products. But if we can take them out, why were they ever there in the first place? I know. I don't want to yell that stuff now. We're just supposed to praise. But like, secondarily, why can't everyone do this? If this stuff is no good for us and our health is shit, can we please do all the things to make our health better? You know, on one hand, I'm railing against regulation and telling you what happens when you over-regulate. But can't we regulate the crap that's going into food if it's just poisoning us? You want to sell cigarettes and alcohol and just label it as, all right, this is poison. If you want this, here it is. At least it's not bathtub gin that's contaminated with botulism or something. At least it's produced in a secure facility with quality control standards. Okay. But yeah, if this stuff is just poison in our food and we don't know it, kick these garbage ingredients out already. What the smuck? Hello, Kenneth. Hello. By the way, everybody out there, however you're watching, hit like, hit subscribe, hit share. Whoopsh. Sonny Bono, what are you doing? Whoopsh. Told me to hit share. Whoopsh. No, don't hit share, the musician. Hit the share button. Where's the tab? Wait, what is it? The tab button? Oh no, he hits the tab button and he's waiting for his tab. It's a Simpsons joke. Anyway. Yeah. These food manufacturers have been putting the dye into dye. The D-I-E into D-Y-E. Not to be confused with do-it-yourself, which is D-I-Y. All right. Let's continue on. Congratulations. Thank you, Smuckers. Let's get another story each week about this. I'm all for it. All right. So here's the former FDA commissioner, Dr. Scott Gottlieb, predicting RFK Jr.'s upcoming report. What's going to happen and what's it going to mean? Well, let's take a listen.
What he's setting up is to declare in his autism report in the fall that there's a link between alum and autism. I think that's where this is heading if I was to make a prediction.
Alum? I think he means aluminum. I guess that's maybe that's what you call it? I don't know. Alum. Aluminum. Alum.
If he does that, that will open the door to litigation under the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program and create a whole wave of lawsuits that I think will drive a lot of vaccine makers out of the market. What he's setting up is to...
Oh, you mean driven out of the market if they deserve to be driven out of the market? Sued into bankruptcy and criminal charges filed? Yes, please. This is exactly what I voted for. And that's what I'll put in the comments. This is exactly what we voted for button. If you're peddling poison, you can go to hell. DC Drano gives us some perspective. It's crazy that Rudy Giuliani was ordered to pay $140 million for saying that a rigged election was rigged. But not a single Democrat or journalist had to pay anything for saying Trump colluded with Russia for 3+ years. I mean, right? By the way, for countervailing views on health and elections, go to cdc.gov, who.int, and cisa.gov/rumor control. For countervailing views, of course, I say this to you under duress for fear of being offed from the Google YouTube space or the Instagram, Facebook Meta space, because they like to lie to you and they don't like you to hear countervailing views. So there you go. Yeah, that kind of goes to the point that I was making earlier today. Where are the repercussions for the liars in legacy media? Where are they? For real, where are they? Here's Dr. Peter McCullough, talking with Dick Blumenthal. Take a listen.
When someone signs consent for a vaccine, Senator Blumenthal,
When someone signs consent for a vaccine, Dr. Blumenthal, Mr. Blumenthal, he's got an interesting voice.
the consent form say it's going to save their lives? Of course it doesn't. It's not on the FAQ. There's never been a prospective, randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trial ever showing that COVID-19 vaccines reduce mortality or hospitalization. There's not even a valid non-randomized study. Thankfully, COVID mortality went down for 3 reasons. Because we all got the infection, vaccinated and unvaccinated, so we developed population natural immunity. We developed early treatment. Credit to Operation Warp Speed. We used all the Operation Warp Speed tools, additional drugs. We treated patients with multi-drug protocols at home so they don't go to the ER. So Governor Green never saw the patients we treated because they were successfully treated at home. And the third reason is the virus mutated to a much milder form. Those things happen concurrently with rollout of the vaccine. The vaccine cannot be falsely credited with saving millions of lives. We can't allow false drug advertising to be put up on a poster behind one of our public servants. We cannot accept that.
So let me quick.
That's just shocking.
When someone signs consent for a vaccine,
Right. Hopefully all this is going to come out. President Trump here issued this. What day was this from? This was on the 20. It doesn't have a date. 6/29. Okay, from Asher Press. There we go. Now you can see it. President Trump said it was my great honor to pardon Michael Flynn, a fearless patriot and decorated general who was savagely attacked by the Biden-Obama deep state, which has now been completely exposed for the fraud it is. These radical left lunatics unleashed a relentless storm of lies, fake charges, and dirty FBI tricks during the Russia hoax to try and crush Mike's spirit. But this great American hero was innocent. Now, Mike has written a fantastic new book, Pardon of Innocence, an inspiring story of faith and freedom, which will greatly encourage citizens across our nation to never get up. Get your copy today. You know, it's important to circle the wagons for people wrongly accused, wrongly attacked. It's important to not throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's important to stand up and stand alongside people as they're being persecuted and prosecuted. And I will say that, you know, despite all of the, it seems like on a weekly basis now, I'm seeing nice messages from, well, nice policy decisions and press conferences from Ron DeSantis. Well, I've been calling him Little Ronnie D for a while now. I was incredibly disappointed to see him throw President Trump under the bus during the primaries for 2024. It was disgusting to me. I didn't like any of it. You know, so President Trump is sticking up for his boy, Michael Flynn right here. General Flynn. So go get that book if you're interested. We all need to support the people that need supporting. I don't know, maybe that's redundant. Maybe I didn't actually say a lick of anything right there. Let me rephrase it. It's important that, hey, let me take that off the screen. There we go. It's important to support people. People we agree with, people we align with, people who are being wrongly persecuted, people on our team. I think our team is just the truth team. People who are helpful, people who are honest, people who are respected, people who are being wrongly attacked. Whether it's the MyPillow guy or General Flynn or President Trump, I think it's important that we don't forget about our comrades. Oh, I said that ironically, yes. People on our team, and I know I don't have a team, so I think the only thing worse than a Republican is a Democrat, and I don't really care for either of them, but I do like Team MAGA. Like, not love. There's a lot of good things. There's a couple of head scratchers, of course. But I think it's one of the highest batting averages we've ever seen. And that needs to count for something in context. It's easy to oppose something and say, well, that wasn't perfect. I am against that. I can't believe you, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, what was the alternative? You got to tell us what was the alternative. Kamala Harris? Well, no, we would, what? What was the alternative to Trump? Well, I mean, you know, but no, I don't know. It was down to two people and you chose to sit it out. I didn't sit it out. I voted for Chase Oliver, the libertarian. Yeah, you sat it out. The most important decision you could have made last year, you sat it out. No, I voted my conscience. No, you voted for someone who had zero chance when you could have given your vote to someone who was going to get a lot of things right. And oppose someone who's going to get almost everything wrong. So Anyway, moving on. Brianna Wu here says, here we go. Zoran is proposing taxing people more if they're white. Race-based. This post says, love that this man is going to represent Democrats nationally in the public mind. This is going to go well. Zoran for New York City. This post here says, shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners. That's everyone. In the outer boroughs, to more expensive homes in richer and whiter neighborhoods. Tax the Boer. Tax the farmer. You sound like you're in South Africa doing this race-based, racist discrimination, Zoran. Nobody in their right mind can vote for this guy, and these are civil rights violating policies that he's trying to push. He is crazy. Well, the policies are crazy, specifically. He might be crazy like a fox, but the policies are crazy. I don't know if I can play it because there's music. So the Hall of Presidents here at Disney. President Trump is back. It reopens today. Trump delivers a recorded oath of office, continuing the tradition of featuring each sitting president. Oh, are they talking?
1789, that you had selected me to lead our nation. But it was with the confidence of my fellow citizens that I took an oath. 35 simple words that have been repeated by every American president.
I solemnly swear that I'll protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, both foreign and domestic. Is that what he's going to say?
Throughout history. I, Donald John Trump.
I do enjoy hearing this. Oh, it feels real now. I actually took a college course. Gene Poor is his name. Was it a telecommunications course? Graphic design? I think it's telecommunication. One of the most popular professors at my college, and he worked on the animatronics for Disney. This was back. They've definitely come around and gotten much better. But yeah, he works on the animatronics team. Like that's one of his claims to fame.
Do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of
President of the United States of America.
President of the United States, and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. So help me God.
All right, that's pretty solid.
The presidency of the United States is a role unique in the world, an office entrusted.
It's interesting how like he's kind of standing there like the stiff Trump.
To each president by us, we the people. Therein lies.
Let's comment. We are truly living on the best timeline. Button. So that's kind of cool. Okay, so just Lysander here says this, and it got me thinking. I'm like, oh come on, this can't be a thing, right? This isn't a thing. Lysander says, so I'm just going to say it. Iran was mining Bitcoin in the mountains. So they're showing a chart here. I don't fully understand what is being shown. They're showing hash rate, difficulty, hash rate MA. Maybe the real WMDs are the WMDs we made along the way, says one comment. Another one says, Bro Miney says, a press release in May of 24 from Elizabeth Warren highlighted that Iran generated $1 billion from Bitcoin in 2021. In December of 24, Iran's economic minister announced the legalization of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. 6 months later, Iran was bombed, based on a plan reportedly drafted a year earlier under Biden. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what someone is saying. Bitcoin's enriched 60%. Using nuclear energy to mine Bitcoin. So the conspiracy gets deeper. Huh. I haven't considered this as part of the story, but Operation Bitcoin mining in Iran, IRGC operations, and the power grid crisis. Alex Thorne says there's no evidence yet of a significant hash rate drop. He says many were wondering if Iranian Bitcoin mining sites were hit. But hash rate is not a metric calculated by the network. It's extrapolated via block times and difficulty. We can't yet declare a meaningful hash rate drop. The daily drop can simply be variance. Okay. Lysander says block time just increased significantly up here. It added 3 minutes. Blocks have been 13 minutes on average ever since the strike. There is definitely significant evidence of a major hash rate drop. Super interesting. Alex says, what was the cause of the block time spike in April? You also have, during the last 2 weeks, commodity and energy price increases, heat wave across the U.S., significant ERCOT curtailment, etc. So even if the hash rate really is down, not really proven yet, there can be other causes. Lysander says, April, I don't know, but it didn't last. This one spiked higher and is forming a plateau rather than dropping, like in April. Can someone explain this in NBA terms? Think of Giannis as Iran sitting out as that sudden EHS hash rate plunge. Okay, it's too complicated to say. But anyway, I've never heard this as a theory. Ethereum. A theory. But now you've heard it. What do you think? Let me phrase this differently. Do you agree or disagree that the bombing of Iran might have had something to do with Bitcoin? I'm not saying I agree, but it's super interesting, and now I'm hooked on the topic. Daily caller here. Let's get to the... Nope, nothing. All right, we'll stay here. Senator Tom Tillis made an announcement about his retirement just hours after President Trump threatened to back a primary challenger over the senator's decision to vote against advancing the president's tax and immigration bill. The North Carolina Republican was viewed as one of the most vulnerable GOP senators up for re-election in 26 and was expected to face a competitive Democratic opponent. He gone. Thumb Tillis, adios. So here we go. The Idaho sheriff.
Well,
here's the Idaho sheriff, I believe, on the phone. From Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
People in that area need to be very careful because the sheriff has also said that if anybody gets a clear shot at the shooter or shooters, that they should take them out. And this is going to make it very difficult for law enforcement to try to determine who is in their sights. Maybe there's some innocent people, and they certainly don't want to take innocent individuals out. But this is a very fluid, active situation there in the Coeur d'Alene, Idaho area. And by the way, Molly, I've been in that area. This is right around the Canfield Mountain area there. Well, people in that area need to be very careful because...
So End Wokeness reporting at least 11 firefighters were shot and so far 2 confirmed deaths. There's an unknown number of suspects, people trapped on the mountain, fire on the mountain, still burning. Police say it could last for days. Prayers up for Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Yeah, it is time to take these vermin out. We'll get to more on that story in a second. New York Post reporting a top local New York Democrat tipped off an accused child abuser before he was busted, a new lawsuit claims. And the comment is that she needs to resign. No. If that's what happened, she needs to go to jail. Agree or disagree? I agree with me. This lady needs to go to jail if that's what happened.
Out of Coeur d'Alene.
So here's an update on Coeur d'Alene for you here. We're going to give you kind of chronologically what we know about it. Here it is.
Idaho. We have been following developments throughout the day of firefighters being ambushed when responding to a call for a brush fire in a local park there. What you're seeing now, we're told, is a procession coming out of that park. We saw at least one vehicle that appeared to be a hearse. You see people there, of course, waving flags, standing, lining the route there. There had been, we were told a number of hours ago, an active shooter who they believed was on the loose. We do know at this hour that a body was found on the mountain, a firearm found nearby. It is not clear whether that was the suspect. But just to recap of how we got to this moment, that there is now this procession leaving the park, all of these law enforcement out of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. We have been following developments throughout the day of firefighters being ambushed when responding to a call for a brush fire in a local park there. What you're seeing now, we're told, is a procession coming.
Is there a second part to that? Okay. So Dark Garbaggio here leaving a comment saying it should be noted that it went from a possibility of four suspects to one suspect found off with a firearm nearby. This guy says American government loves to sacrifice firefighters for false flag events. Well, that's terrible. Gun control people about to come out of their caves again. Mossad trained sheriff having a terror attack. Is what? Mossad gonna Mossad. It's giving PSYOP vibes. Other MK Ultra. Oy vey. Yeah, I don't buy that at all. Do they find the shooter in a grassy knoll too? They stop reporting 4 shooters, settling on 1. Where's the other 3? I never buy this BS. Suspect ended it themselves, did he? On the day that the NFA was officially repealed? What's that? National Firearms Act? What is that? Doesn't pass the sniff test. Let the BS begin. So what do you think is going on with this situation? Do you think it was just a lone person that set a lone fire and then he offed himself after offing 2 cops? Or does this reek of a broader story? I don't know. What say you? So I guess let me ask you this. Type it in the comments. Type a full sentence so that if we scroll back to it, we can know what we're referencing. Do you agree or disagree? Oh, I guess I got to give you a statement. I believe that this heinous act was likely committed by the one person who was found deceased. Maybe a lone crazed gunman or a lone wolf. I believe that. Do you agree or do you disagree? All right, let's check in on the Diddy trial, shall we?
Breaking tonight, the jury in the sex trafficking trial of music mogul Sean Diddy Combs will get instructions and begin deliberations Monday. Closing arguments wrapped up this afternoon. Correspondent C.B. Cotton has the latest tonight from the Manhattan Federal Court. A warning, some of the visuals in this reporting are graphic.
Graphic. Graphic alert.
Good evening, Brett. That's right. Diddy's fate will be in the hands of 12 men and women come Monday. The judge telling jurors he wants them to have fresh minds going into deliberations where they'll have to decide whose side of the story they believe. Prosecutors finished their closing arguments yesterday, but got the last word in their rebuttal today, arguing that Diddy ran a criminal kingdom, made his inner circle do his bidding, and wouldn't take no for an answer. Prosecutors pointing to witness testimony from accusers who said anytime they told Diddy no, they faced a violent outburst. This gash above Cassie Ventura's eye, among the evidence prosecutors say, proves Diddy is guilty of all charges, including sex trafficking and racketeering. A guilty verdict on either of those counts could put him behind bars for life. But during the defense closing arguments, Diddy's attorneys called this a false trial and offered an explanation to this disturbing 2016 hotel surveillance video of Diddy assaulting his then-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, saying a bad batch of drugs caused Diddy's outburst. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilo telling jurors the rapper is innocent in this trial, but would have pled guilty to domestic violence had he been charged with it. At times, the defense even appearing to mock the government's evidence photos of baby oil and guns as weak, and repeatedly accusing prosecutors of
a box full of baby oil and guns. You know, there's nothing wrong with having baby oil and guns.
criminalizing
If there's something wrong with baby oil and guns, I don't want to be right.
Diddy's swinger sex life. The judge will instruct the jury on Monday morning before deliberations can begin. Brett.
CB, thank you.
Were there disturbing image? Oh, I get, yes. Okay. It was the blurred out image.
The man accused of killing Minnesota.
So yeah, we said it's quite interesting that several Diddy charges were dropped recently. Did the state prove the case? Who knows? But if Diddy gets off, pun intended, the whole situation gets much more concerning and frightening. All right. Might have a verdict any moment now. Here's another update on public lands. This one coming from Randy Newberg Hunter.
Well, folks, I'm sure you all heard the great news that Senator Lee waved the surrender flag. He pulled his public land sale language from the...
Okay, hold on. Senator Mike Lee pulled the public land sale language from the big, beautiful bill. Okay, cool. Before we move on to that, Diddy will be found not guilty of all charges. Do you agree or disagree? I'm playing stingers. I didn't even know were there. Blake put all these together. I like mixing them up. Anyway, Mike Lee removed the language. Is that good? Well, here we go.
Big, beautiful bill. And yeah, he's making it sound like that was his decision, but all of you and some key members in Congress gave him no choice. So I want to thank all of you, so many of you. You called, you wrote, you did it many times. You got your friends to do the same. None of this happens without all of you standing up, regardless of which side it was, whether it was someone you voted for or didn't vote for. You spoke up and you gave a voice to public lands. And now we take a day, we take a weekend, we maybe go on a hike, but just know that this is probably not going away. And I think some special thanks is due to Senator Daines, who was falsely accused of cutting a deal. He did not cut a deal on this. Senator Sheehy from Montana, Senator Crapo, Senator Risch, those two from Idaho. They led the foundation of where there was no path for Senator Lee. Senator Heinrich on the other side from New Mexico, he kept everybody on his side together, and he kept this as a top priority issue among his caucus. His hard work can't go without notice. And in the House, we had 5 people who acted as a backstop. And those 5 were Republicans who told the Speaker that this is not going to fly. And I think if ever there's a time for us to understand that we can't let our issues be partisan, it's today. It's to reflect and think about, we got to have people on all sides who are willing to stand up and speak for public land and represent all of you. Thank you so much. Thanks for all the work that all of you did. It's unbelievable. And let's make sure, going forward, we keep public lands as one of those high priorities in America. Whether it's in DC or out here, out where you live, we know it's a high priority. Let's make sure everybody understands that. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. What a country.
I love the birds in the background. This comment we posted said, aren't there some big benefits to having these American states take control of these public lands, though? What are the pros and cons list of selling or transferring some public land? So, I don't know. I want to hear the pros and cons on this one. Kenneth disagrees that Diddy's going to be found not guilty. David says, I certainly hope not. Put Puffy in the slammer for life. You know, Kenneth wants to consult with the Diddy committee. Send in lawyers, guns, and oil. All right, here's a fun video for you. Official cop humor. Is it on the screen? Is it the right size? Yeah, right size. Okay. Don't have the context. I don't see where this is at. This is a lady wearing a head covering with a megaphone screaming in the cops' faces.
Nobody says police! Nobody says police! I just want to... Fuck you!
Ease.
Nobody says police! Nobody says police! I just want to... Fuck you!
There you go. Yep. The agitators, the infiltrators. I've watched this several times. Yeah, that was a yoink. That was an official yoink. How many times do you want to watch? But yeah, screaming through a megaphone into people's ears is assault. Just that's something I don't think these protesters understand. And it'd be better if they did understand that. I don't know. I'd like to see more context on the video, but it is gratifying. It is gratifying to see the professional agitators. I mean, for years, remember the Summer of Love riots in 2020, the ones the Democrats were fanning the flames of and throwing gasoline on? At the gasoline station, you get in their face. You make them uncomfortable. Okay. At the gasoline station. Okay. Yeah, we've been wanting arrests for a long time with these professional agitators. So that was an interesting clip. Yoink. All right, here's Pete Hegseth talking with Representative Mario Diaz-Balart. This is a pretty good one. Mr. Secretary.
Mr. Secretary, I'm a little confused. Are you telling me that the folks that are now voting with their commitment to the country are not upset that they're not able to use different pronouns? Is that not a priority for the folks that are now signing up for our military?
Well, sir, if they wanted to get a woke indoctrination, they could just go to college. Instead, they're joining the military, where we're focused on the basics. We know men are men, women are women, standards will be high, and we're getting rid.
Where the men are men and the sheep are scared. What's that from? But yeah, Hegseth, they're getting rid of the distractions.
Rid of the distractions, the ideologies, the politicization.
And I think politicization is one of the toughest words to say, because I think he said it incorrect. I say it incorrect. Politicization.
That was in our ranks, so that
politicizing.
Soldiers, men and women, can do their jobs on behalf of the nation.
Mr. Secretary.
I loved the sass and the nuance there. The deadpan, the mockery. So California Democrat legislators are doing a TikTok happy dance after they voted to increase your gas tax. Is this real?
Peace up, A-Town.
Can't play music. California state Democrats dance. Oh, what's this? Hold on.
AAA says on average $2 more a gallon than the rest of the
California's already paying $2 more a gallon.
country, and if all of that's not bad enough, you ain't seen nothing yet. Watch.
Unreal.
Prepare to pay more at the pump starting next month.
Wednesday morning,
How could these people be excited for this? Shame on them.
a forced floor vote on Senate Bill 2 came to a quick end after state Senate Democrats unanimously voted against it.
I gave my Democrat colleagues the opportunity to protect Californians' wallets, their constituents, and they chose not to.
I just ask that we request a no vote. Thank you very much.
Not even one Democrat voted for it.
It tells their voters, their constituents, and all of Californians that the Democrat Party in Sacramento is not serious about solving the affordability crisis that we're experiencing in California right now.
It's a struggle, my friend. It's a struggle.
They say any increase in fuel prices means less money for essentials like food and housing, as well as discretionary spending on their grandkids.
If this car doesn't roll, we can't go to work. And then when you don't go to work, you're homeless.
Peace up, A-Town.
Unreal. Man, that second lady, she's nope, no comment. No comment. Flee blue cities, flee blue states. They hate you. They just hate you. And it's a shame. It's a doggone shame. Retire every Democrat politician out there. Please. Grit and Glory Outfitters posted this. Here he is, President Trump, winning trade wars, making peace deals, and lowering inflation. That sounds kind of good, right? Well, the Democrats react like this.
You can't keep getting away with it!
You can't keep getting away with it. Nope.
You can't keep getting away with it!
And I'm going to put, keep getting away with it button. I mean, imagine being this upset that the president's doing well.
You can't keep getting away with it! You can't keep getting away with it!
Imagine being that upset that America's doing well. I don't understand what's wrong with the Democrats. All right, Gateway Pundit here reporting Customs and Border Protection raid a human smuggling hub in Los Angeles linked to Iranian terrorist suspects.
Where Customs and Border Protection executed a federal search warrant there. 2 individuals were arrested by the CBP Special Response Team. Earlier this week, 7 Iranian nationals were arrested at that same address, including individuals on the FBI terror watch list and associates of an Iranian human trafficking network. CBP says the location has been repeatedly used to harbor illegal entrants linked to terrorism.
Can't play that music. Mute it. FBI's terror watch list. Goodbye. Adios. 20 miles northwest of downtown LA. Sayonara, chai tomorrow. Nice to know ya. 7 Iranian nationals arrested at the same address earlier in the week, including ones on FBI terror watch list and associates of an Iranian human trafficking network. Individuals apprehended from 8 states. Yeah. If any of these Iranians pull off an attack on the United States, it's all on the hands of Biden and Obama and their handlers. Never vote Democrat again button. They did this intentionally. Shame on them. Shame on them. You hear me? Shame. But good job catching them. Yeah, New York City voters be like, nah, man, keep that out of here. Oh, that's a handmaid's tale. Oh, that's not cool to women. But there it is. Force your women to walk around like ghosts, clad in all black, coming from a nation that hits 130 degrees in the summer. Walk around like I don't know. I mean, what? Imagine how hot you have to be cooking in all black. Imagine how oppressed you are when you can only walk around with your eye slits like you're what? I mean, how does that even happen? How could New York voters say, yeah, that's a good idea? Make it make sense. Dr. Sheila Nazarian says, why is it okay to criticize Judaism? Why is it okay to criticize Christianity? Why is it Islamophobia to criticize Islam? So we typed, all right, explain this to us like we were 5 years old, which is coincidentally the age of consent in some backward societies that cannot coexist with Western culture. Too soon? J.K. Rowling says, when you tell a hold on. Let me go backward here. Benjamin Ryan says, misgendering is cruel and rude. No matter how many edge cases or straw man arguments people can come up with to try to assert otherwise. J.K. Rowling says, when you tell a woman she must pretend a man is a woman, you're asserting the right to control her speech and perception of reality, while also trivializing and devaluing her female-specific experience. You are asking her to agree that woman is a concept that men can embody at will. Well said. And I agree with J.K. Rowling. Do you agree? I agree. J.K. Rowling has been fantastic on this issue. Thank you, J.K. Not just kidding. Thank you, J.K. Actually, I don't know what J.K. stands for. Do you know what J.K. and J.K. Rowling stands for? I don't. This is a pretty great point, I thought. It's funny how people will believe in Wi-Fi. You know, invisible waves powering everything. But they still think that energy, frequency, and vibration are just some mystical nonsense. Huh. Go figure. Yep. You know, I mean, take a look here. Hopefully, Iran doesn't try to destroy our top secret nuclear facility, pictured here in the top left corner. Yeah, this is a joke. This joke will never get old. OH. So if you're just listening, it's showing a picture of that team up north, or those terrorists up north, TTUN, otherwise known as the Michigan Wolverines. I don't like to say their name. But yeah, hopefully Iran doesn't try to destroy our top secret nuclear facility, pictured here in the top left corner. It's like that joke where you go, I certainly hope Immigrations and Customs Enforcement doesn't go after my ex-girlfriend living at 123 Main Street. And you put the address on the screen. Because you are actually hoping. It's a funny joke. All right. Let's take a listen about how many young lawmakers quit. in light of the Minneapolis attack?
For office these days, you better be okay with death threats. Over 120 young lawmakers just quit, and it's not because they couldn't handle their job, it's because they're getting threats about their kids. One had photos of their children mailed to their house. Another pulled their kids out of school after being stalked. Female lawmakers are being doxxed, threatened, and hunted online just for having an opinion. So yeah, people are quitting. And then you know what that leaves us with? The loudest, scariest, most power-hungry people in the room. Cute. This isn't politics. It's intimidation. It's trauma. A well-respected rising star left Congress to protect his kids. And we've got 120 more quitting before they even fill those seats. And if you're here to say that if they can't handle it, they shouldn't run for office, well then, if you're so tough, why don't you go ahead and run? Being a public servant should not come with a death wish. This isn't some debate club. This is Congress. This is politics. This is real families facing real threats. Tori Marie Blue, Kansas State Rep Republican. She's facing ongoing threats and harassment due to her conservative stances. She says she constantly feels unsafe, even at the grocery store, and is reconsidering her political future. We've got Representative Mike Gallagher from Wisconsin. As noted in other reporting, he faced swatting threats and death threats targeting his family and his young daughters. He resigned in 2024. We've got Tiara Mack, Rhode Island State Senator, frequently doxxed and harassed online, often receives violent threats. Greg Scott, Pennsylvania State Rep, received a death threat in the mail with his name and address while at home with his young children. Threatening someone's kids because of a vote is evil, and it's gotta stop. If you run for office these days, you better be okay with death threats. Over 120 young lawmakers just quit, and it's not because they couldn't handle their job, it's because they're getting threats about their kids. One had photos of their children mailed to their house. Another pulled their kids out of school after being stalked. Female lawmakers are being doxxed, threatened, and hunted online just for having an opinion. So yeah, people are quitting. And then you know what that leaves us with? The loudest, scariest, most power-hungry people in the room. Cute. This isn't politics. It's intimidation. It's trauma. A well-respected rising star left Congress to protect his kids. And we've got 120 more quitting before they even fill those seats. And if you're here to say that if they can't handle it, they shouldn't run for office, well then, if you're so tough, why don't you go ahead and run?
Okay, that's the beginning of it.
Being a public servant.
Yeah, it's getting tough out there. I have somebody looking to get into politics. And they actually sent me this. And I'm like, yeah, man, good luck. Good luck getting into politics now. I mean, the left, what I told him, I said, the left have very bad ideas, very unpopular ideas. And they resort to violence when they don't get their way. It's very childish. So just something to keep in mind. Going after firefighters, or going after politicians. I don't know, man. Things don't have to be this way. But you got to throw the book at the worst people in society so that they don't get emboldened to keep doing stuff like this. If there's no repercussions for messing around, if there's no finding out, messing around will occur. So it's kind of scary. Danielle D'Souza Gill says President Trump's DHS has launched an investigation in the University of Michigan for allegedly firing a Christian physician who refused to refer patients for unnecessary genital mutilation procedures. They call it gender transition. You can't transition your gender, though. Your sex is your sex. Let me see if this is real. This is one of these stories I want to check. There's a U of M. How did that story? How was that worded? Physician fired for not referring people to unnecessary genital mutilation procedures. Let's see what Grok says. No definitive evidence. Dr. Jumana Nagarwala, charged in 2017 with performing female genital mutilation on girls. What? Unrelated. I wonder if I was a U of M physician fired for not referring patients to gender affirming care. Yes. Okay, so they didn't like me calling gender affirming care unnecessary genital mutilation. See, that's why language matters. Grok needs to know the difference. They need to know that there's not a difference in what I'm saying and what they're saying. Valerie Kloosterman fired in 21 after requesting religious exemption from referring patients for gender affirming care and from using preferred pronouns conflicting with her religious beliefs. Okay, yeah. Is Trump investigating this? I know it's not Trump, but is his team doing it? Okay. HHS is investigating as of June 25. Okay. That's true. I'm not super familiar with Danielle D'Souza Gill. Is she married to Dinesh D'Souza? I'm going to ask. Is Danielle D'Souza Gill related to Dinesh D'Souza? Yes, that is the daughter of Dinesh D'Souza. Okay. The more you know. Let's listen to what's going on in the New York City rental market.
How many tenants do you think there are in the city versus landlords?
Oh, well, I can tell you the exact number. There are 986,000 rent-regulated units, somewhere between 1.7 million and 2 million occupants of those units. So it's obvious that Mamdani saw this as a big opportunity for a demagogue to come in and say, I'm going to promise this large group of people, it can be a single voting block.
Something we can't deliver.
Well, he can deliver it, but it will be to the ruination of New York because it will turn New York into a slum. You can already see a large number of rental buildings falling into disrepair because the owners can't afford to keep them up. They're not getting enough in rents.
And the mortgages are coming due.
Right.
The taxes are going up.
That's right.
And it costs more to give it back than to walk away.
Exactly.
How many tenants do you think there are in the city?
It's a mess. Isabella Maria De Luca says, here's a map of fertility rates. You should be alarmed deeply. I'm not sure if this chart is accurate or not, but it is rather concerning. Wouldn't you agree? And the most fertile, yeah, America not doing so well. Maybe a couple of states. I guess green is good. Red is very bad. Ooh, now this comment, now overlay it with a map of COVID vaccination rates. Oof. Elder Santos says the consequences of feminism, cultural Marxism, and the decline of the Western Christian family is in this picture. Yikes. So I'm wondering about accuracy on here, but it does kind of match up with what I think is going on.
When communists do this, they are creating, and they talk about this, they write about this. In fact, they use this term, if you want to go look up books and articles about this, They are creating something that is known. Remember this will be a theme tonight.
The Jesse Kelly Show. And
as a decision dilemma. They are creating a decision dilemma. A decision dilemma is simply this. I'm giving you, as I throw my riot, as I have my protest, as I throw my hissy fit, I'm giving you no good options. No good options at all.
That's the Kobayashi Maru, right? Like it's an unsolvable situation. Like you can't answer. It's like an unanswerable mathematics question. You can't make the equation work.
I'm trapping you with my bad behavior, with my selective bad behavior. I'm trapping you. Communists create decision dilemmas intentionally all the time in order to wrong foot the right who doesn't know what to do. When the animals have taken to the streets and they're torching the cop cars and they're hurting cops and they're burning things, the right, and you see this right now, even today, as we speak, people are arguing over the whole thing. What do you do? Do you let them go? I've seen that argument. Hey, let LA burn. It's run by Democrats anyway. Screw it. Let them go. Do you go the complete opposite way?
Man, that's how I feel. You know, when I lived in LA, I wanted LA to be as good as possible. And it's like I vacillate. I kind of float back and forth between, like, let them get what they deserve. That was that comment earlier about why are these leftists fleeing New York now? This is what you voted for. This is what you funded. You wanted your utopia, drown in it. And then on the other hand, it's like, man, we got to save this.
Hey, forget these pepper ball rounds. Live ammo. Let's put some commies in the ground and start cooking. No, let's do pepper balls. Riot police, National Guard. Do you bring in the Marines? Do you not? Now, why is there any kind of a stress about the whole thing? If you let them go, then you encourage more of this behavior, and it is ensured that you will get more of this behavior.
Uh-huh. I've been screaming that for years.
If you crack down, what if you lock and load, live ammo, put 10, 15 people in the ground? Now you're the tyrant. Now you've sent in the troops on television. How do you think the media would cover one of these street animals who got double tapped center mass and is laying in the middle of the highway bleeding out? How do you think those images would be covered, not just domestically, internationally, by the globalist cabal who hates the American right?
That's why you need to box them in and arrest them. You need to have a massive operation in place to start making tons of arrests and not letting them go without charges.
You see what I mean? You've created a decision dilemma.
The Kobayashi Maru.
When communists...
Yep. The deep state love creating false martyrs. They do. All right, well, they tried to make a martyr out of Trump, and that would have been really bad if Butler went differently. So let's take a listen here. This is Brian Glenn on Real America's Voice talking about the shooter. We still don't have a lot of info.
There could have been different shots fired from other angles that Thomas Crooks, rather than Thomas Crooks, was on that building. So what did you find that suggests that theory?
Well, that's a great question. I'm not used to getting really good questions, so thank you. That's a great question. And that's really the crux of this case. If we can prove that one or more shots that day came from somewhere other than where that body was located on the roof of AGR, that's solid proof of a conspiracy. And we have that evidence. In addition, so a lot of people have looked at this. A lot of people have investigated from different angles, but as far as I can tell, I'm the only one that actually went to Butler and did what we call photogrammetry. It's a new science that they use to investigate crimes where they scan the entire area with lasers and with cameras, and they create a hyper-accurate 3D model of the entire area. And we did that. We photogrammetried the entire AGR and Butler complex. And so we have a super accurate 3D model. It's kind of like Google Earth, but much more accurate. And now we can look at that model from different directions and see exactly where a sniper could and could not have shot at President Trump. And we have found through that process very convincing evidence that there is at least one bullet that came from a direction that could not come from where the body was located on the roof of AGR. And it's overwhelming evidence. And it's not just opinion, it's forensic. It's photographs, it's results. We know where that bullet went, and that bullet could not have come from the roof of AGR.
Okay, there could have been different shots fired from other angles.
Yeah, can we finally get a full story on this since it's been a year now? Can we? New documentary debuting July 13. All right, let's keep our eyes peeled. And like I said, I like Ron DeSantis when he's working in his state doing state things. I did not like him on the national level at all.
These taxes grow. So thanks for doing that. I think that that's well intended. And then thank you also for heeding my call to deliver a Second Amendment tax holiday. And so firearms, ammunition, accoutrement, as well as other outdoor items like fishing and bow hunting and things are going to be tax-free from September 8th until December 31st of this year. So you're going to be able to do very well. Normally, these taxes grow. So thanks for doing that. I think that that's well intended.
Yeah, could you imagine DeSantis governing California? Oh, my gosh. That'd be so much better. All right, that's what I had for you on Instagram. Yeah, tax holiday. Why are we paying taxes on anything? Especially constitutionally protected things. All right, let's hit refresh here. All right. Here, let me click this and then click that again. Okay. Once again, on our X feed, you have the, let me do it like that. Right here. This is our Patreon link. If anybody would like to sign up to be a monthly Patreon subscriber, thank you to everyone who is. And preemptively, thank you to people who will sign up. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, this just happened. Or I just saw it, rather. I just got off the phone with President Trump. I told him about my new bill I'm introducing that will save America's elections from ever being stolen again. My bill will require the U.S. Census Bureau to conduct a new census immediately upon enactment of the bill. In conducting the new census of the U.S. population, it shall require questions determining the citizenship of each individual and count U.S. citizens only. Why has this not always been the case? This is so infuriating. If you're not an owner in a homeowners association, you don't get to vote in the homeowners association. It's madness. Upon completion of the census, the bill will direct states to immediately begin a redistricting of all U.S. House seats process using only the population of the U.S. citizens. Thank you, President Trump, for your strong support of my bill, making American elections great again. Let's get this done. All right, I'm super in favor of that. I agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene making sure that only U.S. citizens are counted in our census. Do you agree or disagree? I'm just upset it hasn't always been this way. Why should a non-citizen get a say? Why are they getting counted for districting purposes? That's insanity. Yeah, it was fixed for them to win, David. Well, who allowed it to get fixed? And why is it taking until now for someone to fix it? Unless the fix was in and both the Republicans and Democrats were in on it. It's hard to believe, though, because it doesn't benefit the Republicans. Why would they go along with it? Are they just spineless and clueless? Bribed and blackmailed? Pointless? I don't know. FBI Director Kash Patel. Well, I got two posts here. Dan Bongino, FBI, says public corruption won't be tolerated. We view the theft of public funds the same way. It's a crime against us all. In conjunction with DOJ and federal partners, they're announcing results from the largest healthcare fraud investigation as measured by financial losses in DOJ history. Investigation spans 50 federal districts, resulting in $3 billion in false claims with 15 million illegal distributions of pills. We seized $245 million, charged 324 defendants, 96 medical professionals, and the intended losses from these bad actors approached $15 billion. Results matter, talk is cheap, and this is not even the beginning of the beginning. If you're stealing from the public or violating your oath to serve, then we're coming for you too. Bravo. I'd still like the Epstein files. I'd still like the JFK files. Andy No reporting one of the Portland residents living in the neighborhood besieged by Antifa outside the ICE facility. So they found a phone one of the members dropped. Antifa are allegedly coordinating in signal groups called OTG Watch 629 in unvetted Chingala Migra. I think that says fuck immigration, solidarity. Antifa make daily group chats and then destroy the evidence of their conspiracy. Oh. Really? We're asking Grok if this is true, but they're not answering us. How do you get Grok to answer? Oh, we did get an answer. Story is partially true. This Imam Khan was deported from Italy in October 24 for radical statements, including support for Hamas and anti-Semitic remarks. However, the exact quote about fighting infidels isn't confirmed in reliable sources, and the deportation was ordered by Minister Piantedosi, not Maloney personally. The timeline also suggests a process, not an overnight decision. Some support the deportation for security, and others criticize it as limiting free speech. Okay, I had a hunch this would be partially true. And we'll say that. Thank you, at Grok. This story seemed to be a mix of partially true and partially incorrect. So thank you for the context. I'm thanking AI. I was also dropping F-bombs and four-letter words at it this morning as it took forever to make me a thumbnail image. College basketball. EA Sports is finally bringing back their college basketball game again. I think the NIL deal, the name, image, and likeness, where the players can get paid, I think that's going to play a role. We'll see. President Trump, according to Matthew Harris, is intensified criticism of Japan's trade practices. In a recent interview, he referred to the country as Mr. Japan and threatened to keep a 25% tariff on automobiles as a July 9 deadline looms. You should follow Wrangler Star. I'm not sure if you do or not. You should follow this guy. He's very interesting. Wrangler Star has been a firefighter. I think he said they fired him because his son was wearing like a firefighter hat or like a jacket or both or something in a video that they made. So they terminated him. I don't think he was impersonating. Maybe it was an overreaction. I don't know the whole backstory, but he's interesting, and I like his breakdown on things. So he obviously has thoughts on this situation in Idaho, where it appears that firefighters were lured into an area so that they could be sniped. Hold on. Wait. Okay, where's this playing? Okay, it went to a different screen. Sorry, I don't know why it did that. Okay, here we go.
Reporting now is that there are 2 firefighters, wildland firefighters, that were killed, and they are doing nothing to try to work on that fire, and they can't because it's just too dangerous up there. There is either one or maybe even possibly multiple shooters. So it's possible that they laid an ambush, that they started the fire, got in a sniper hide, waited for first responders to show up, and then ambushed them. This is a big problem, and this is unprecedented, and it's going to have a lot of impact on how we fight fire in the future, because this is something I've done for a long time, and we've never had to deal with this before. We show up and put out the fire. Most fires you never hear about because the local departments, the Forest Service, the local DNRs do such a good job of jumping on them quickly. If you can get on them quickly when they first start, you put them out and they never become a problem. But you let them burn for a couple hours and go from 10, 20, 100 acres. Now you've got a conflagration or possible one that takes millions of dollars and weeks and months to put out. So it's a huge deal. So now the ability to be able to quickly respond to these things and to deal with them locally, that's going to be completely taken out of our hands, because no chief in his right mind is going to put his men and women in harm's way who are not prepared for this. They're not trained for this. I just did a members only live stream where we were covering this, and people ask, well, what about concealed carry? What about arming our firefighters? That's just not going to be possible. They don't have the training. Insurance would never cover that, and that's not their job. They didn't sign up to do that. And I would think twice in these rural areas. You know, Idaho has always been a hotbed for white supremacists and the new white supremacy, and the news is reporting, you know, they initially go to that first, but we don't know what it is. Could it be Iranian sleeper cells? Could it be a disgruntled employee? You know, time will tell, but it takes time to figure out. But it's a very difficult manhunt, especially from someone who's motivated and knows the area. You could go in there, you could start this, and you could be out on the couch watching what happened on the news while they're still bringing resources in. So this is going to have ripples, and this conversation is going to be had through the Forest Service, local firefight departments, how we're going to handle this and how we're going to deal with keeping first responders safe. So stay in touch, subscribe. I'll do more updates as I get more information, but this is really troubling news, and this is going to be completely change how we respond to wildland fire. Beloved, welcome back. So there's a few updates on the Coeur d'Alene active shooting.
I got to close this.
So what looks like it happened.
There we go. So follow this guy, Wrangler Star. Am I not subscribed? I think I'm following it. Yeah, follow Wrangler Star. He's one of the better follows on the internet. So I'm looking for more information. We've told you everything we know at this moment. All right. WNBA is expanding back to Cleveland. I'm a Cavs fan. I don't really care about lady basketball, but it looks like when the Cleveland the Cleveland WNBA team is coming back, that might be in 2029, 28 or 29. It'll be at the end of Caitlin Clark's rookie deal. Maybe Dan Gilbert, the owner of the Cavaliers, can offer a boatload of money to try to bring her to Cleveland. We shall see. Also, Detroit and Philadelphia are probably getting teams again as well. Yeah, the Cleveland Rockers. Babylon B says, Democrats discover an innovative strategy of promising free stuff to stupid people. Yes, this is the way. Richard Gunnell says MSNBC is refusing to cover the 65-cent gas hike that Newsom launched on Tuesday, or will launch tomorrow. Why do you think they're hiding this? Huh. Wonder why. Elon is showing Tesla's new battery factory that could supercharge U.S. energy. This is the LFP battery cell factory in Sparks, Nevada. It's vital to America, says Elon, as the company ramps up domestic battery production. It'll manufacture lithium ion phosphate, LFP. Why is that L? Lithium ion is F? Why is there an F in ion. Anyway, LFP cells known for being safer and more affordable than traditional EV batteries. Major step toward energy independence. All right. I like big infrastructure projects in the United States. New York Post, and we covered this the other day. 4 fifth-grade girls devised a sinister plot to off an Arizona boy and fake his suicide. Cops say, quote, just end him. Terrifying. Laura Loomer says 11 firefighters were shot in Idaho yesterday. 2 are gone. Police were still engaged with the shooter. It's not your average shooter. Wonder if it's a trained militant. Coeur d'Alene has an active ISIS terror cell. She says it's an act of terrorism. I mean, it is. Is it domestic terror or Islamic terror? Chilling police scanner audio of frantic officers calling in for backup and medical help after a shooter set fire in Idaho to lure in firefighters and started opening fire on police and firefighters as they were responding. Should we listen?
Central BC 5, Central BC 5. BC 5 up 6. Some law enforcement right now, there's an active shooter zone. They're shot. BC 3's down, BC 1's down. Everybody's shot up here. Law enforcement, code 3 now up here.
Damn.
551, 10 or 14 up here. Stop. Get out of the way. 10 or 14. Engine push 551. Do not come up here.
51 copies. Remaining staging. Central from 551.
551.
You get an ETA on life flight, please? What? You're busy. You see what life flight has to offer and go and get started. Also, if you can do enact the MCI for the county, please.
Sorry, I couldn't copy. I'm copying BC. Is at the upper parking lot. Is at the upper parking lot. Up on the dirt parking lot. We need law enforcement up here immediately. Law enforcement up here immediately. Copy upper parking lot. Immediately out law enforcement. Yeah, another Coeur d'Alene firefighter down. Needs help immediately. We need law enforcement immediately. I copy another firefighter down. Continuing law enforcement. I copy. 2 battalion chiefs. 1 off. 1 firefighter down.
NGH's both, I'm down. Both battalion chiefs are responsible. NGH's both down.
I copy. You can't move. Go to location exactly. We're all at the upper parking lot. We're all at the upper parking lot. Please, law enforcement, as soon as possible, get law enforcement up to the upper parking lot, the dirt parking lot.
I'm not having any response from the 2 battalion chiefs. They're above me inside the rig. I need help. I don't see anybody around type of thing.
If you just find vehicles. Then immediately up here, we've got 2 unresponsive battalion chiefs, gunshot wounds, multiple gunshot wounds. 2 Coeur d'Alene firefighters are down. I copy. 2 unresponsive battalion chiefs. Law enforcement getting there as quickly as they can. Law enforcement get up here. We could possibly get the 2 wounded out. I'm pinned down behind Battalion 1's rig. It's clear to me that this fire was set intentionally to draw us in.
Damn.
I copy. Do you want life flight to launch? 100% sure where they would land. I think they need to be prepared to launch. Copy, prepared to launch.
Go 107. Start dispatching 4 ambulances.
Jeez. All right, I just got a note that they've identified the suspected shooter. Killed 2, injured 1. Wes Rowley, and I don't like to say these people's names, but as we're investigating, I'm just trying to figure out what can we learn here. 20-year-old male. No ethnicity, no religion mentioned. They believe he deliberately set a brush fire on Canfield Mountain to lure first responders into a trap where he then opened fire. Found dead with a firearm nearby, though it's unclear if he was killed by law enforcement or took his own life. The motive remains under investigation. So let's explore. all by himself. Let's go big here.
Kootenai County Sheriff Bob Norris telling reporters that firefighters first responded to a report of a brush fire on Sunday afternoon in Canfield Mountain. That's a popular hiking and biking area near the outskirts of town. But once the firefighters arrived, someone began shooting at them. The fire was set apparently to lure the firefighters into that ambush.
Okay, we know that. I was trying to... They're saying this might be the kid? 20-year-old? Is he a lone wolf or was he part of something? Skinny little dork. Just like this other skinny little dork. This is the shooter. First Thomas Matthew Crooks and now Wes Rowley. These boys don't look like they can lift weights, much less alone shoot. Something doesn't sit right with this. Not discrediting, it just feels off. I don't know. Okay, Amuse is reporting this the right way. Idaho sniper. Confidence level, fog of war. So the thing you need to know is that when these things are happening, you need 72 hours. You really can't jump to conclusions, but this is what's being reported. I don't know if it's accurate and verifiable, but this is what they're saying. Conflicting reports about the identity of the suspect. There seems to be agreement. He's a 20-year-old man named Wes Rowley. Reports he might be from Russia. What? Initially reported as USSR. That he lived in New York and most recently Florida. Then why would he be in Idaho? Conflicting reports he's from Phoenix and his family is MAGA. What? MAGA doesn't shoot at firefighters. Antifa does. The Democrats do. Muse updated post to reflect the conflicting reporting. A bunch of pictures circulating that purport to be a Rowley. Armed with a rifle, started a fire, began shooting at first responders. Wounded a third. Almost impossible to know what the truth is, so instead of reporting the truth, I'm reporting what is being reported. Please take all of it with a grain of salt. Yeah, that's the way to... We're going to say the 72-hour rule is in effect. We are all investigating and only reporting what other people are reporting with zero confidence in accuracy. We can investigate developing stories together while avoiding definitive statements of fact. All right. Well, that's new. Yeah, the Idaho sheriff just gave all U.S. citizens authority to shoot the terrorist on sight. A coward's calculated chaos. All right. So a lot of this information is up to date now, at least more up to date. Here's a terrible story. Here's a 42-year-old Nigerian caregiver, as reported by Sika official in the United Kingdom. Bilikesu Olagunju was sentenced to 6 weeks of imprisonment by the Woolwich Crown Court in southeast London after footage of her manhandling an 88-year-old pensioner with dementia was recovered from the man's Brexley, Kent home. Incident came to light after the great-grandfather, Mr. Attard, was found unresponsive in his home with blood dripping out of the side of his face, a day after the caregiver's visit. Disgusting. He was subsequently rushed to the hospital where he died 10 days later. The Nigerian national pled guilty to one count of treating or willfully neglecting an individual while acting as a caregiver. What kind of charge do you think would be appropriate for that? Abusing an elderly man. Of a different race, by the way, because, you got to report these in that manner every time for some reason. Well, the reason is that the legacy media tries to make all white people bad, especially white men bad, especially straight white Christian men bad. It's been their modus operandi for decades now. So when you report on Ashley Babbitt, you don't just say a woman was shot. You have to say a unarmed veteran mother was shot and killed in the only gunfight of the day on January 6th during the mostly peaceful protest, when a black man of a different race shot and killed an unarmed veteran mother of another race. So this Nigerian kills this UK guy, or they're just saying it was an incident, throwing this guy around like a rag doll. And there's blood on the side of his face. One day after, and he dies 10 days later. That's not care. That's disgusting. What's a fair punishment for this person? What if we said 18 months? Is that long enough for contributing to this guy's loss of life or causing it? Well, this says a suspended 18-month charge. 18 months, but you don't have to serve it. Are you kidding me? I'm going to look this up and see if this story is accurate. Got to always double check stuff like this. Yes, it's true. Multiple reports. Ill-treating or willfully neglecting 88-year-old dementia patient in his home. CCTV on Christmas Eve of 22. Drags him, threatens violence, neglects his care. Just days before he was found unresponsive and later died in the hospital. Yeah, a 6-week suspended prison sentence for 18 months. And 50 hours of unpaid community service. Yeah, you should never work with elderly again. Never work in healthcare again. The post-mortem can't directly link her actions to the death. The family believes the abuse contributed. The details are consistent across various news sources and posted found out. Yeah, and the sentencing has sparked debate about its adequacy. Yep. So if you're not angry enough, be very careful who you have watching your family. Oh, that makes me so mad. They're saying Dr. Boyle had this interaction with Representative Bill Posey. Asks, has the CDC done a study comparing vaccinated children with unvaccinated children yet? And Boyle says we have never studied vaccinated versus unvaccinated. What? I'm telling you, this is getting stranger and stranger if you don't have those direct comparisons. Also, for countervailing views on health and elections, go to cdc.gov, who.int, and cisa.gov/rumor control. I tell you this under duress because, reasons. Babylon B. CNN reports Hiroshima barely set back by atomic bomb. That's probably how they would report it if President Trump were in charge at the time, based on how they handled Iran. Inevitable West. Thousands of English football fans put their differences aside to march against Muslim rape gangs. Britain has never been more united, they say. Gun Owners of America is trying to get President Trump to fire the unelected parliamentarian or tell J.D. Vance to overrule her. You need to pass the full NFA tax repeal for silencers, SBRs, SBSs, and AOWs in the one big beautiful bill. Here you go. Let's talk racism and civil rights abuses. Can you believe this is real life and not parody?
Went on your website and realized there's a policy proposal that says your plan, and I'm going to quote it for folks, is to shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners in the outer boroughs to more expensive homes in richer and whiter neighborhoods. Explain why you are bringing race into your tax proposal.
That is just a description of what we see right now. It's not driven by race. It's more of an assessment of what neighborhoods are being undertaxed versus overtaxed.
What? Wrong.
Into your tax proposal.
That is just a description of what we see right now.
No, that's a description of what you're trying to do.
It's not driven by race. It's more of
No, you are driving it by race. This guy's full of shit.
An assessment of what neighborhoods are being undertaxed versus overtaxed.
Undertaxed versus overtaxed. So you're saying white people are undertaxed because they're white and non-white people are overtaxed because they're not white. This guy is insane.
We've seen time and again that this is a property tax system that is inequitable. It's one that actually
equitable, equity, dangerous keyword. Oh, it kind of sounds nice, but it ain't nice.
Rick Adams ran on saying that he would change in the first 100 days. He's since sought to defend it and lost at every juncture in court.
And I understand you're saying we're simply describing the types of neighborhoods that would see these increase in taxes, and yet
they wouldn't see an increase in taxes. He would create an increase in taxes to white people.
By invoking race, do you run the risk of potentially alienating key constituents?
I think I'm just naming things as they are.
You're full of shit, you slime ball.
And ultimately, the thing that
man, this guy's inadequate.
And ultimately, the thing that motivates me in this is to create a system of fairness. It is not to work backwards.
Oh, yeah. Going after people because of their race is 100% backwards, pal.
From a racial assessment of neighborhoods.
You're the one that brought racial assessment into this.
Or our city. Rather, it's to ensure that we actually have an equal playing field. And right now, what we see with the property tax system is one that is...
Property tax should be abolished. How about that?
Overtaxing a number of New Yorkers and undertaxing others.
No, how about they're all overtaxed? Once you own something, you fucking own it, dude. This constant slave mentality of you never get to actually own anything.
An inability of political will to resolve that.
So no plans to change that language on your website.
The focus here is to actually ensure a fair property tax system.
And it's fair to charge white people more because you think they've had it too good for too long. This is the Obama doctrine in effect. This is Marxism in effect. This is the politics of envy and greed in effect. This guy is unelectable, and these are civil rights violating abuses that need to be shut down.
And that the use of that language is just an assessment of the neighborhood.
All right. You are a
Wow. New York, get a clue. Yeah, Schellenberger says that's next level gaslighting. What a clown. President Trump says Tom Tillis hurt the great people of North Carolina. Even on the catastrophic flooding, nothing was done to help until I took office. Then a miracle took place. Tillis is a talker and a complainer, not a doer. He's even worse than Rand Fauci Paul. Why is Trump going after Rand Paul? Rand Fauci Paul? Yeah, Ron Paul is thankfully going after Fauci. People in North Carolina want Tillis gone, but you need to stop going after Thomas Massie and Rand Paul. This lady confronts Antifa for blaring music past midnight at the ongoing ICE facility occupation. She lives here and she is furious.
Turn that shit down! It's midnight! I will turn it down. I would love to. You just have to ask me, and I'm being nice even though you're screaming at me. Fuck you! Okay. I'm coming back every night and I'm destroying and wrecking your shit! Turn it down! We the people need sleep! I've been out here 2 days straight protecting your dogs, baby. Listen, what the fuck is this? You heard what I said, bitch! Talking to us calmly would be a hell of a lot better than... Go fuck yourself!
Talking to us nicely would be a lot more, go F yourself!
Realize your fucking ass, bitch!
Go fuck yourself, bro. I don't give a fuck.
Stick that cane up your ass. Make it. Come on. I'm ready to go. The first domino falls, right? Fuck you. You know what happens? You know what happens when the first domino falls?
This lady is America's energy right now. Good for her.
I'm telling you to shut the fuck up. I'm sleeping. Hey guys, let's let another neighbor.
Yeah, who the F do you think you are?
Let's let another neighbor talk.
Bunch of immature dorks. And when you're doing that stuff and you're keeping people up and you're causing chaos, you need to be cited. You need to be arrested. Andy No says she's damn brave. Most Portlanders have been too scared to tell Antifa to stop terrorizing civilians. Antifa wear all black and hide their faces to intimidate the public, in addition to trying to escape being identified when committing organized crimes. There's a riot in, where is this at? I don't even know what city this is. Phoenix or Chicago or New York City. I don't know. All right. That concludes my show for today. That's about all I had to cover. Yes, Deb from SAC, Deborah Rooney, Ron and Rand Paul are good men. So is Thomas Massey. And I wish Trump would stop messing with them, because I'm going to stand with them. Yeah, that's a woman. That's a big woman. And she is big mad. It's Canada Day? What does that mean? Tomorrow is a holiday in Canada. Let's see what Canada Day means. I know Canada Dry is. Canada Dry is okay. I like Reed's. I like actual ginger beer, though. No high fructose corn crap. The anniversary of the Confederation of Canada in 1867, when British North America Act united 3 colonies into a single dominion within the British Empire. Federal statutory holiday honoring Canada's history, culture, and achievements. Man, Canada's history is being, the culture is being totally changed with unchecked immigration, though. You're going to have fireworks and parades and concerts and flag-raising ceremonies. All right, widespread celebrations across the country tomorrow. Have a blast, literally. Enjoy your fireworks. Have a holiday as grand as you please. And then in America, on Friday, we will celebrate Independence Day. So it'll be a week of festivities, everybody. Awesome. Well, we'll maybe have some updates on that Idaho situation tomorrow, as well as other developing news between now and then. Stay connected with us in the other places. We are on Instagram, Facebook, True Social, Rumble, and YouTube at The New American Media. We're on Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat. We're on X at American_media_, and subscribe to our podcast, The Agree to Disagree Show, on Spotify and Apple. We're on Patreon at The New American Media. Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal. Venmo and Cash App at BrianEngelman, and PayPal at Fuzz Installment. Or at it would be fuzzinstallment@yahoo.com is the way you might have to enter it to find it. So maybe I'll have to update that on the thing, scrolling at the bottom. But thank you to everybody. And yes, Deb, she'll listen. Rewind. You slept in today. Good. You needed it. You've had a long week. Sleep in as long as you wish. Yeah, independence. My gosh, are we even remotely independent these days? Well, look in the mirror, America, Canada. Figure out what independence really means and see if we can get back to that, shall we? All right. Signing out for now. Stay safe out there. Have a plan. Make sure that you're armed and trained and ready to defend yourself against all enemies, both foreign and domestic. I want you to last for a very long time, and preparedness is key for that. So, signing out on behalf of everybody in the TNAM network here at the New American Media. We appreciate you. We love you. And we will talk to you again soon. Thank you very much. Take care. Peace. Oh, wait, what is the last comment? The birth of Canada. But you're right. Not the same place. Yes. Nimbus was here earlier. Now he's over there. But yes, love to Nimbus as well. All right, everybody. Take care. Peace. Oh, where'd the button go? Where's the button? There's the button.
your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.